This week is kind of crazy the way it all shook out. We know what happened. Ohio State defeating Texas in week 1 in the horseshoe, jumping up to that one spot. Well deserved, very well deserved. I think Ohio State's hands down one of the best teams. Let me say the best team in college football. I believe that defense that Matt Patricia was running, translating over from the league, just running these crazy disguises, blitz, all-out coverage, everything that he ran, they were just unstoppable. They got Arch Manning in a loop. He was so confused. He didn't know where to put the ball. He didn't know how to read that defense. He didn't know what was going to be thrown at him next, and he just struggled mightily against this Ohio State defense. Caleb Downs, the leader of that defense, was just commanding those guys in the backfield. Matt Patricia was dialing up exactly what they needed, and they jump in to this one spot. Penn State's going to stay at the 2, which I also think is well-deserved, coming off a college football semifinal appearance that did not end the way they wanted. A very brutal Drew Allar interception within the final minutes there, and that really put a stamp on their season last year. But they're trying to get right back into that spot. They're sitting here at 2. They're in a good position. They just destroyed Nevada 46-11. So they're going to stay right where they were to start this season, and they are cemented at that 2 spot. And number 3, LSU. We saw them with a huge win over Clemson in Death Valley, which now we don't even really know the meaning of because it can go either way. But LSU clearly showing that they want to be the real Death Valley this season. They jump up to 3 with a huge win. Garrett Nussmeier currently leads the Heisman race, and he is sitting number 1 atop of those odds. Number 4 is going to be Georgia. They came in at 5 this season, not a surprise to anyone. They went out and they killed Marshall in their home stadium, little pay game. A surprise to, again, nobody, and they are sitting here moving up a rank at number 4. Miami's going to be number 5 after coming in previously into week 1 as number 10. They jump up 5 spots into the 5th spot, sitting top 5. A beautiful spot for them to be in. I mean, they're the first ACC school on the AP rankings, and they are moving very well after defeating Notre Dame 27-24. Carson Beck had a great game. He looked to put it all together with the Hurricanes. He translated into that Cam Ward spot perfectly. He played his own style of football, and they were very, very good down the stretch, and they were able to close that game out. Number 6 is going to be Oregon. Dante Moore, a kid that was very highly talented at UCLA. I enjoyed watching him play, and I'm very glad he's getting a starting opportunity now. He was sitting behind Dylan Gabriel last year, but now he obviously has the keys to that offense. And man, did that offense look good because they beat Montana State 59-13. They put it on them, didn't really give them much of a chance. They were explosive out of the get-go. It was 21-0 before you even knew the game was on, and Oregon continued to roll, and they move up a singular rank. And our first faller, you're going to see a little trend here with these next 3 placements. Number 7, Texas, like we mentioned, couldn't get anything going on offense, fell to Ohio State. Their 1 touchdown, which saved them from being shut out. They virtually would have had a big donut on the board looking like the Oregon logo right there, but they were able to get a touchdown with 1:30 left. Arch Manning, nice little dump pass all the way down to the end zone. His tight end goes and finds it. They reviewed it, but they said it stands, so they got their 7 points, much like their ranking heading into this week. And then Clemson obviously lost to that Garrett Nussmeier-led LSU team. Brian Kelly finally gets past the fact he couldn't win a season opener, and they get it done. And that lands Clemson at number 8, right behind Texas. And then behind Clemson's going to sit Notre Dame, the team that lost to that Carson Beck-led Hurricane offense. They didn't look terrible. It was a great game, 27-24. Banged out a field goal with about a minute left. That Miami kicker was kicking automatic, and they looked very, very good. Notre Dame, again, not anything to worry about. They dropped one week 2 to Northern Illinois, and they were in the Natty game last year. So it's really nothing to worry about for Notre Dame. I think they'll be sitting just fine, and for now, they're going to be number 9, still in the playoffs at a large bid to start off heading into week 2. And then a team that I think is going to continue to climb these rankings. I don't think they're going to be 10 for long. I think they're going to be in those singular digits very, very soon is South Carolina. They have a tough schedule again. They had a tough schedule last year, and they ended up going on a win streak. They got to 9-3, made a bowl game, and they were looking very good. Lenore Sellers, my personal Heisman favorite. I want him to take home that trophy. I think he is electric. He is one of the best football players in the country. Honestly, my favorite quarterback to watch play. I think South Carolina is going to rise up those ranks, but for now, they enter in as number 10. And then Illinois, a team that jumped up. They swapped places with Arizona State. It was 11-12. They're pretty interchangeable. They both had good weeks. Illinois killed I believe it was Western Illinois by a score of 52-3. And then we saw Arizona State. They played Northern Arizona, who is a pretty tough opponent in that regard. I was watching that game, and they had some ballers. Northern Arizona was not to just be shut out and roll on the floor. I mean, they gave Arizona State a challenge there for a little bit, but the Sun Devils were never going to lose that game. They came out on top 38-19, and they just, again, swapped their place with Illinois on the board. And then 13 is going to be the Florida Gators. They came in at 15 to start off the season. They move up 2 after destroying Long Island University 55-0. Who's shocked about that? Not a lot of people, but Florida finds its way up 2 ranks. And then Florida State. Here we go. The first big eye-opener of this AP poll, sitting at 14 after we all know what they did. Thomas Castellanos, he backed up his word. He said it over the offseason. I don't see Bama stopping me, and they couldn't. He was moving. He was mobile in the pocket. He was extending plays, getting first downs, moving the ball at ease. Thomas Castellanos led that Seminoles team to a victory on Saturday, and now they find themselves shot all the way up at number 14, and we see where Bama sits all the way down, but we'll get to them in a little minute. And then a team that has the big game on the board this week, the Michigan Wolverines. They find themselves at 15. They came in at 14. They drop a ranking after playing a close game with New Mexico. It wasn't really a close game, but 34-17 is a lot closer than it probably should have been. But the Wolverines are going to set that aside, and they have their eyes set on Oklahoma, who we also see on the board. But before we get to them, 16 is going to be Iowa State. They've been playing great ball to start off the year. They came in, started the season at 22. They moved up 6 spots in this new AP poll. They beat South Dakota 55-7. They've looked very, very good to start off this year. Again, they move all the way up, started in that low bottom 20s, and now they're all the way up at 16, hoping to crack the top 15 come next week. SMU, another ACC team on this board, going to be sitting at 17. They came into the AP polls just like who else dropped 1? I believe Michigan. Just like Michigan, they dropped 1. They were 16. Now they're 17. Haven't really done all too much this season except beat East Texas A&M. Not Texas A&M. East Texas A&M 42-13. So SMU is going to be in at that 17 spot. And then we have Oklahoma, who's going to be sitting at 18. And they face Michigan, a 15 versus 18 matchup in Norman, Oklahoma this week. That's going to be College Game Day. All eyes on them. It's going to be a great atmosphere, great game. And it's going to have some implications for the rankings, because if Oklahoma can come up on top, they're probably going to take that spot, might swap, might even move up a little bit. Who knows how those are going to shake out, because who knows what's going to happen in week 2. Plenty of things that can happen, can skew this whole board. We can get off kiltered, someone can fall off, someone can get upset. Alabama, we've seen it happen before, so who knows what these rankings are going to shape up this time next week. But for now, they find themselves at 18, and then the real Texas A&M comes in at 19. They played good ball to start off the year. UTSA gave them a little run in week 1, but UTSA is a very respected opponent. I see the Roadrunners as a good, solid football team. We obviously know their head coach has done a phenomenal job with his tenure with the Roadrunners, and they continue to look pretty sharp. But Texas A&M was able to get the win, and they're going to hold off and be at the 19. Ole Miss, who went out and destroyed Georgia State, sorry for snatching chains, but they had to go out and get it back in blood. It was 63-7 after a slow start for Ole Miss, but Austin Simmons and that Rebels team got it together, and they smacked the Panthers 21. Alabama, this is what happens to you. You can start off in the preseason top 10. You can be number 8, and you still find a way to lose. Alabama is not the same team that they were. We know this. This is evidence. The whole talk of the town. Kalen DeBoer is not any Nick Saban, but I think we knew that when he got hired. But we were not expecting Florida State to come in and play the game that they did and knock Alabama all the way down to 21. And in a couple weeks, they might not even be on these rankings anymore. They might not even be relevant when it comes to rankings, but hey, anything can happen. That team can catch fire. I really like the way Ty Simpson played. I'm a big Ty Simpson guy. I think that was that O-line's problem. I think that he needs more time back there to maneuver. He was getting out of sacks. He was elusive in the pocket. He was extending plays. He just didn't have much help on that field, and that lands them back at 21. And then 22, a team that I'm very high on. I think they're personally better than Alabama. I'm a big Joey Aguilar guy, and I think he absolutely balled out in week 1 for the Volunteers. Tennessee, they're going to come in at 22. Again, I think they're going to rise up these ranks. They're going to climb gradually week after week, and I think they're going to surprise a lot of people in college football this season. Do I think they're national championship contenders per se? Probably not. but I do think they have the chance to come out and play some nice football games and make some stuff interesting. So keep an eye on the Volunteers as we head down this list. And then 23 is going to be Indiana, the Hoosiers, coming off again. Kurt Cignetti ball, he's talking a lot of talk. He's backing it up. They're 23. They look good so far. They beat Old Dominion. Sort of squeezed by him. Only beat him by 13, 27-14. Probably should have been just a little bit better in terms of Indiana's score differential, but they got the win. That's all that matters. They're going to come out and they're going to correct that and get better week after week. Indiana, for now, is sitting at 23. And 24, a team from the Big 12, Texas Tech, a team that I'm very high on. I think they're going to be very good down this course of the season. They're going to continue to play well. They're going to put it all together. They're going to gradually grow. They dropped down a spot, but that's all right. They're still within the top 25. I think they'll get better. Better might win some key matchups. The Big 12 is not too competitive this season, and they might have a lane to go and grab a playoff spot. But I'm pretty high on Texas Tech, and I think they can do a lot of great things. And at 25, it's going to be the Utah Utes. Quarterback played a phenomenal game. They looked very good. Came out and destroyed Nico Iamaleava by a lot. 43-10. They took care of that game, and they look to continue to just dominate and win big games down the stretch. So look out for Utah. But yeah, that is our top 25. Some things that we saw last week that were unprecedented. The very first time that the preseason number one were underdogs, and obviously they ended up losing. Texas could not deal with that Ohio State defense. Also, 4 of the top 10 teams lost, which is the most ever in week one, the opening week of the season. We saw obviously Texas, Clemson, Notre Dame, and Alabama all within the top 10 fall on Saturday. Absolutely crazy. And then FSU obviously being that team that upset at Alabama. Thomas Castellanos talked all that crap. He came out and backed it up, and he looked like a true certified dog. And then obviously Boise State, who was 25 before Utah took their spot, for very good reason. Boise State lost 34-7 against a team that I'm very high on this season, USF. And there's one name I'll give you as to why I'm high on USF. You've probably heard it by now, honestly, after that big explosive victory. Byron Brown, that quarterback is insane. He runs guys over. He just seeks the contact, and then he'll run guys over. He broke 6 tackles on a play that got called back, but he still ran it 37 yards in. He is a madman. He is crazy, and USF has some legit players this season. Don't be surprised if you see their names in any interesting storylines or hypotheticals, because USF, those Bulls are legit, and we'll talk a little more about them later as well, but they are for real. And the last thing I have noted here is just Carson Beck. Very surprised. Honestly, I was happy with both quarterbacks in that Miami-Notre Dame matchup. CJ Carr, for his first ever college game as a starter, he delivered for that Irish squad. They didn't get the victory per se, but he came out and he gave his all. He had a rushing touchdown. He was making plays. He was extending, and he looked good, and he definitely does have a future with Notre Dame. They should be all right. They'll get pieces together. They'll keep winning games, and hopefully we'll see them come December or January. But Carson Beck and this Miami squad, I believe we will definitely see them come January, as they have been balling and they find themselves at 5. I think they're going to have great redemption for even missing the playoffs last season, and I have a lot in store for the Hurricanes this season. But this is the top 25, so that rounds out this segment. Very good this week, very, very entertaining, and I'm hoping next week's even better. So we'll see these games we have. We'll get into some important matchups, but this is your AP Poll Top 25 for week 2.